Everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoteric and our continuing series, the Unported Playlist, where we take a look at some of my favorite unported arcade games of all time. Today we're taking a look at Outzone, released by Toaplan in 1990, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a spoiler right up at the front. This is the first time in basically over 150 unported playlists in which I am using cheats to get through this game because it is incredibly hard and restricts your continues. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like, subscribe, and that notification bell definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, we have a Patreon link down below as well. And while I absolutely love Outzone, it only gives you so many continues and it sends you back to the beginning of the game. Maybe there's a different ROM revision that removes this restriction, but I went into the test menu and looked around, and the only option that it gives you is to enable invulnerability, so I am playing with God mode. I don't like doing it, and I really do want to learn how to get to the end of this game without having to use invulnerability on the credits that you're allowed to use, or the continues you're allowed to use. But talking about playing this unported, if I spent enough time to get enough footage capturing this game, it would have taken me an entire day to make a 10-minute video, so you're just going to have to deal with me cheating. Do I feel bad about it? Absolutely not. Because that's the only way I could actually bring it to you and show you guys. This is an amazing game. It reminds me of Mercs from Capcom or SAR Search and Rescue from SNK as far as the run and gun genre is concerned, because that's exactly what this is. It's a run and gun through and through. All you do is move forward, shoot your enemies, and get to the end of the game. But what I love about this game is the weapon system. There are so many unique and different weapons that give you completely different abilities. You'll see now that I can move in a lot more directions than I could with the previous weapon. There's a ton of weapons in this game, and figuring out which one works for you and using it and trying to hold on to it can be quite difficult, but it's a lot of the fun in the game, because this is the type of game, just like a shmup, where once you figure out what weapon is good for what situation, you can almost become invulnerable, even though you can play with invulnerability on like I'm playing here. But getting the wrong weapon can 100% screw you over at the same time. So there's so much resource management going on in this game. It just takes a lot of brain power to figure out what you should be doing at any given point in time. And it definitely, because it is from Toaplan, plays a lot like a vertical or tate shmup. Now, of course, the screen isn't scrolling on its own. You're scrolling it by moving forward. But they could have easily turned this game into a shmup versus a run and gun. It would have made perfect sense. You'll see there with the Stage 2 boss, he has a sensitivity to fire, so I was able to beat that enemy very quickly. If I had used a different weapon, that 5-second fight could have turned into a 35 to 45 second fight, and that is where so much of the strategy in Outzone comes from. I am playing this game on normal difficulty, and it's already throwing an insane amount of projectiles at me. Even on easy, this game is nowhere near easy. On a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being a free-to-play game, and 5 being it takes you out back and mugs you and steals money from your wallet, this game is a 6, because not only does it mug you of your money, but it also doesn't even give you the satisfaction of seeing the end of the game unless you were incredibly good at it. That's how difficult it is. This is the first time I've called the game a 6 on the channel, but I feel pretty confident in declaring that as so. But who cares if it's hard? The only problem with invulnerability is you lose the challenge. You know, when we're emulating games, I talk about it really doesn't matter how many quarters you have to pump in because you're able to see the game. In this instance, it does matter because we're taking a little bit of the difficulty away because I'm invincible. But as good as this game plays, as great as it looks, it also sounds incredible. So go ahead and listen for like 45 seconds and I'll come back and talk about how much I love the visual style of Outzone. But enjoy! I'm 100% there for that soundtrack. I just love how jazzy and kind of upbeat it is. But you see we're moving on further, and as you saw in some of that gameplay, things just start getting really hard. And I know I mentioned earlier about using the right weapon versus the wrong weapon for an individual boss, and this is going to be an instance in where I bring the wrong or less effective weapon in. It would be much better to have a flamethrower that you can kind of whip around versus having this one straight projectile shot. It's not bad, but I played this game before and been able to beat him within 3 to 4 seconds versus about the 10 we got there. And I do love that different Toaplan characters or sprites from different games show up as little unique bonuses if you're smart enough to get them. And I love the Super Ball. This is just basically a shield that rocks around you and keeps you from getting hit and basically decimates all your opponents in the immediate vicinity. This is the weapon that I love outside of the flamethrower, and it's one that I want to keep around as long as possible. I got the Super Burner. That's not a bad thing either, because I do like, as you move left to right, how the sprites stay on the screen and how it continues to damage your enemies. Outzone will slow you down on occasion. This is an area in which you are slowed down. Now, of course, with invulnerability, I can skip over it, but it is a situation where the game makes you take just a little bit more time to think about what you're doing while you're also getting shot at. And in that instance, this is one of the hardest areas of the game. I'm not sure how long it would take to get good enough to beat this game with the amount of continues it allows. And if you do know of a different ROM revision that allows unlimited continues, leave me a note down below, because like I said, I went through the entire test menu of this game trying to find a way to allow me to continue at my leisure, and I could not find it. So maybe they added it in a different ROM revision, or maybe this was just one of those games like Haunted Castle from Konami, a terrible game that I've reviewed already, where it just doesn't let you continue after so many quarters. If that's the case, it is one of my least favorite design decisions in arcade gaming. As long as the players wanting to give you money, take it and let them keep playing. I'm glad it's rare and only happened on a few games. And you'll see right there when I talk about resource management, saving your bombs up for a boss can be one of the easiest ways to get by a difficult boss. Bring 5 or 6 bombs into that fight and just spam them over and over again, and you're basically being given a free win. And that is a good strategy. It's not cheap whatsoever. Playing with invulnerability is, but we're going to pretend that's not happening. But saving up those bombs can get you further in the game. Of course, there are great resources like a shmup if you feel like you're cornered there, even though it doesn't technically matter. You can blow one off and clear the screen at your discretion. But if you can get past all of these different screens without using any of them, it's going to allow you a lot more versatility when you have that boss fight. Now the question is, why wasn't this one ported home? And it's just timing. This came out in 1999. This would not work on the Nintendo. This would not work on the Master System. I would say that the detail in the sprite work, all the great, graphics here that are just fun to look at, I think on the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis, you just wouldn't be able to move all of this around at once without getting slowdown. This game has slowdown in a few spots, but it is really minimal, so I think it's just by the time that hardware existed for this to be able to run at home, a PlayStation 1 or a Sega Saturn, it probably wasn't well known, and it probably just wasn't worth bringing over compared to some of their shmups. But yeah, that's Outzone. I love how it looks, I love how it sounds, I love how it plays. All of this sprite work and this futuristic kind of animal-robot hybrid is definitely up my alley. The one thing I wished is that it allowed you to continue with unlimited continues. I do not know why games cause you to restart the game after 3 credits, because at that instance, it would probably take me a month of solid practice just to see the end the real way. But leave me a comment down below if you ever played Outzone and what you think. I'll be back next Sunday with more imported and videos throughout the week as well, but I will see you guys next time. Boss is dead. Bye-bye.